Today's Metro News television forecast brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Still keep eyes on things out there, roads especially. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Much of the state still have flood watches today and much of tonight yet. We had some heavy rain impact the state last night. Still watching for a potential of severe weather. If you're in the dark green and yellow, that's where a marginal to slight risk of severe weather for isolated to scattered severe storms are possible today. Scattered severe weather generally near and east of the Allegheny spots there. Large hail, damaging winds. Again, there's still some heavy moisture with this front that's still here, so potentially 1 to 2 plus inches of rain yet today and tonight. Slight risk of excessive rain is out. We had some flood advisories, flood warnings, and flash flood warnings impact the state early this morning. Remember, turn around, don't drown. If any heavy excessive rain leads to flooding or flash flooding, never drive through that today and tonight. Some improving weather after tonight. Fly Sierra forecast, it starts at home. Chicago, high of 69, cooler temps. They do have some marine hazards from Lake Michigan over there, and also an air quality alert impacting Northeast Illinois, Northwest Indiana today. From Panhandle to Panhandle, high 70s, rain likely, thunderstorms likely, threat of isolated severe and flooding potential. Lows around 60, still that flood watch tonight. Eastern areas, severe storms, flooding and flash flooding potential. Lows near 60, chance of showers and storms. From east to west, watching for locally heavy rain. Again, there will be that potential of flash flooding and some severe weather. Lows around 60s tonight. And down to the south, 81 in Charleston. Rain and storms likely today and tonight. Our flood watch in Charleston's out until 2 a.m. tomorrow, but check locally for timing, flooding, flash flooding, and severe weather is possible. An isolated afternoon storm is slight chance tomorrow, but mostly dry from here. 81 on Thursday, 80 Saturday, and some lower temps in the 70s by early next week.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at salangolaw.com.
Coming up, MetroNews Talkline from the GOP Insurance Studios. More questions about TANF funding, rain. We've got softball games going on, and who came away the major winner from back in the primary election. We'll talk about all that as MetroNews Talkline unfolds this morning. We are underway.
Do not attempt to change the station. You are surrounded. We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency news bulletin. Repeat, this is an emergency bulletin. Keep your radio turned on.
From the studios of WVRC Media and the Metro News Radio and Television Network, the voice of West Virginia, comes the most powerful show in West Virginia. This is Metro News Talkline with Dave Wilson and TJ Meadows.
Check set line up link. Activated Telos telephone. Switch network control from Charleston to Morgantown.
Stand by. Q Dave and TJ. You're on. Metro News Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Welcome inside the Encova Insurance Studios. Dave Wilson of Morgantown. TJ Meadows is at an undisclosed location, taking a much-deserved week off. He'll be back with us on Monday. Otherwise, gang's all here. Producer Ethan is at the controls. If you're listening in on one of our great radio affiliates, you can thank Ethan for that. He's also the one you'll talk to if you call 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. That's the phone number. You can text the show at 304-TALK-304. Jake Link handles the video stream if you're watching in on the Metro News TV app, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live as well. Coming up, bottom of the hour, we'll check in with Metro News meteorologist Bryan Hughes. It is a wet morning, to say the least, across the Mountain State here in Morgantown. We've had a couple of downpours already. There's a flood watch in effect tonight. We'll get caught up on the weather with Bryan Hughes, bottom of the hour. Eben Brown stops by, the latest on what's happening in Iran with the strikes, defensive strikes, from the U.S. in the last couple of days. What's the latest there? Brad McElhinney, second hour. Also, going to talk to the GOP consultant who worked with, for lack of a better description, the Randy Smith Caucus during the primary election and find out his take on what was successful and takeaways from the primary election a little bit earlier this month. He'll join us coming up in the second hour. 800-765-TALKS, the phone number. 304-TALK, 304 is the text line. State lawmakers still have many questions about the future of the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program. Recently, Governor Morrisey held a news conference to unveil the results of audits of some of the biggest departments in the state. But at the end of that news conference, he also mentioned that TANF funds had a $40 million structural deficit that needed to be addressed. This came as a surprise to many state lawmakers, including Cabell County Delegate and chair of the House Health and Human Resources Committee. He's also a member of the House Finance Committee. Delegate Eben Worrell joins us this morning. Delegate, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, Evan, when you heard the news out of the governor's news conference about a week ago, a little more than a week ago now, what was your initial reaction to find out that there apparently is a structural deficit with TANF funds?
Well, it came as quite a surprise. Actually, we were sitting in a House Finance Interim Committee at the very time that the governor was downstairs making that announcement. So immediately had, some reporters come up and ask my opinions, and I was unaware that there was a press conference talking about about a structural deficit in TANF. I do want to commend the governor for auditing the departments and finding, as you heard, $168 million in potential savings. Excited to get into that, the details of those and going through some of those audits. But it was there at the end of the press conference. I went back and listened. The $43 million, I think he announced, in a structural deficit was kind of shocking, I guess, 2 months out of session. So it kind of left us with a lot of questions at the time.
When those funds were discussed in Finance Committee meetings, was there any inclination or was there any sort of concern that that program was running a deficit or maybe that program had financial issues?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, when I went back and looked, it looks like we have funded the state portion of that for the past 8 years at the same level. And so pre-COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. And what is surprising, we're actually seeing the federal block grant come in higher than what it had this past year, this next coming year, than what it had in previous years. It's a little bit higher, but the point is it's not lower. And so that was, I don't understand where the structural deficit is there. Additionally, in January of this year, the governor announced that he was going to spend $8 million of unspent TANF money towards a group or a program called Star Academy. And that didn't I don't know if that actually went through. I don't think he actually did that. I know Star Academy there's a Wall Street Journal out there about them, about how they kind of swept the country taking some of these TANF funds. But I guess my point is on the January announcement here, just right before session, saying he was going to spend $8 million of unspent TANF money. And here, 2 months after session, we have a $43 million structural deficit in TANF. So I think a lot of us are confused, especially when we look at the numbers. And I would, credit the chair and vice chair of finance. They do a great job on the budget, both in the House and the Senate. We go through that with a fine-tooth comb, and that was never discussed.
Talking to Delegate Eben Worrell, Cabell County. He chairs the House Health and Human Resources Committee, is also on the House Finance Committee. Let's say, for the sake of discussion, Evan, there is a structural deficit that needs to be addressed. We're talking about a fund and a program that is very important, very crucial to families in need. It's called the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program. So what's the best way to address, if there is indeed a structural deficit, what is the best way to address it?
Yeah, so let's first realize that you talked about what TANF is. It's a hand up. It's not a hand out, right? We're trying to help people that are in a bad situation temporarily with a helping hand to get them back on their feet. So want to clarify, this isn't something people sit on for their lives. It's not a welfare program that people stay on generationally. This is something to help people get back on their feet. So it is extremely important in an impoverished state like West Virginia that we continually fund that program appropriately. So what I would say is that I'd go back and look at this $168 million the governor just announced in potential savings, and what are those savings? What are the details of what can be saved there that could then be spent on TANF funding? One of the other things to keep in mind is we get a federal match on that TANF funding when we put state money there. So, we want to ensure we're funding it appropriately, so we're getting the right drawdown from the feds. And I will say this too, just before Mother's Day, President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, through their the Children and Families Committee, put out a memorandum to every governor and actually pushed on the governors, because there are families that need help, pushed on the governors to use TANF funding for child care subsidies and to continue doing that. So this seems to be a federal administration push as well, that we would utilize TANF funding, even for child care subsidies. I know that was something discussed before. So we'll dig into it. I'm hopeful the governor or his administration brings something to our June interims. That's when we'll meet up in Canaan Valley, and we'll have the House and the Senate meet in joint finance. I'm hopeful there's details coming there so that we can dig into it and understand where this deficit is and how we can close it. But I'll say this too. We have funded the FY27 budget, so that starts July 1 through June of 27. At the appropriate level. So I don't believe there's an emergency here, but we definitely want to get on top of it as soon as possible.
Delegate Eben Worrell joining us, Cabell County. He is the chair of the House Health and Human Resources Committee. He's also on the Finance Committee. Eben, let me just ask you directly, would you support any proposed cuts to this program?
I would not, and I've been on the record as saying I won't support any cuts. I think there was talks of child care subsidies or even clothing vouchers, and we have once again, TANF is temporary assistance for needy families, and we have a lot of needy families in this state. And so I would not support any cuts. What I would support doing is jumping into, once again, these audits where these savings are and ensuring that we can still fund the program. If there is a deficit, we can fund it appropriately with the savings that come out of that audit.
Eben, there's been a lot made over the last few weeks by people like me and TJ, who's not here today, on vacation. Don't want to throw him under the bus. But there's been a lot made by guys like us about the relationship between the governor and the legislature. The governor says he wants to work with the legislature to address what he says is a structural deficit. Is this getting off to the right foot by learning about this news through the media, through a news conference, rather than informing the legislature that there could be this problem before making the public announcement?
Yeah, I mean, surely, as we just talked at the very beginning, I found out about it sitting in a house right after a House Finance Interim Committee that had some reporters come and ask me about it. Didn't even have any knowledge of it beforehand. So I think working with us, the legislature, does mean, letting us know about these issues ahead of time, letting us dig into them. But I'll also say we're coming fresh off of a primary where the governor, is no secret, went out and campaigned against some of the incumbent legislators. I think it's tense right now, and he's going to have a new legislature in January. There's going to be at least, I think, 30 new members in the House in January, in part due to, some of his campaigning he's done in the primary. So I look forward to working with him next year, but realizing that, this year, the rest of this term, I think it's embattled or it's tense and kind of awkward, knowing that some of the legislators that will continue their term to the end of December of 26 won't be serving in 27 due to the governor's campaigning.
He's Delegate Eben Worrell, Cabell County delegate, chairs the Health and Human Resources Committee and the House Finance Committee as well. Eben, we appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Absolutely. You as well. 304-TALK, 304, the text line, 800-765-8255. Just to put a bow on that conversation, Capitol reporter for Channel 13, WOWK, down in Charleston, Huntington, Maddie Sperling, friend of the program, had a story on TANF, the structural deficit, and spoke to the current House Finance Committee Chairman, Delegate Vernon Criss, who will not be returning in 2027. Criss told Maddie, when you go back and look at the past 4 budget years, we have maintained pretty close to the same amount of state revenue dollars into that program. Same thing Delegate Worrell just told us. And actually, it appears there's an increase for fiscal 27 from the Fed. So I don't understand where he thinks he has a problem. And fortunately, he won't be there in 2 years to worry about it. He being Governor Morrisey, obviously. Criss went on to say that gentleman from the governor's office has used structural deficit since day one. Seems to be his favorite term for things he does not understand. That is the current House Finance Committee Chairman Vernon Criss speaking to WOWK Channel 13. Maddie Sperling, Capitol reporter, in her story on this issue. Just some food for thought. 800-765-TALK, the phone number, 800-765-8255. The text line is 304-TALK-304. We'll check in with Fox News Radio's Eben Brown when we come back. The latest in Iran as things continue to be tense in the Middle East, and that might be a bit of an understatement. The latest coming up with Eben when we return. This is Talkline from the Encova Insurance Studios.
Building a stronger West Virginia isn't just a dream, it's a mission. The High Technology Foundation knows economic diversity is the key. For over 30 years, they've been dedicated to transforming the state's economic landscape. Conveniently located in the heart of West Virginia, innovation, growth, opportunity, all under one roof. There's no need to look far for change. It's happening right here at the High Technology Foundation in North Central West Virginia. Visit WVHTF.org to learn more.
Right now, America is hungry for energy, more power, more reliability, and more security. So here's a question worth asking. Why not coal? And why not now? West Virginia sits on one of the most abundant energy resources in the world. Generations of miners, proven infrastructure, and coal-fired power plants already delivering dependable, around-the-clock electricity. At a time when demand is surging and reliability matters more than ever, coal isn't a question mark, it's a solution. Today, there's robust support in West Virginia and Washington to strengthen American energy independence using the resources we already have. So again, we ask, why not coal? And why not now? Because when it comes to powering our homes, our hospitals, our economy, and new opportunities, West Virginia Coal is ready. A message from the Friends of Coal, powering America today and tomorrow.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
Sunshine, open roads, and a new Toyota from Dan Cava Toyota World. Lease an all-new Camry for as low as $398 a month. All new Tundras now up to $8,000 off. All new Tacomas now up to $4,500 off or lease as low as $399 a month. $7,500 off the new BZ or 0% financing for 72 months. We've got a Toyota for you at Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
5, 3.
For your daily fix of sports in West Virginia, there's only one stop.
I would imagine a group of you got together and watched the Mountaineers last night. What were your thoughts on that performance?
It was funny, we were sitting with a guy last night, and he said, all right, I'm going to go put $1,000 on it. Well, down the stretch of that ball game, he's looking at us like, are you kidding me? And sure enough, the Mountaineers came back. I saw him today. He said, yep, I'm putting another $1,000 on them tomorrow.
Sportsline on Metro News Television.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
800-765-TALK is the phone number, 800-765-8255. The text line is 304-TALK-304. Coming up, we're going to check in with Bryan Hughes, Metro News meteorologist, get an update on weather. It's just not a nice day. There's rain all over the place. Got a flood watch, I know, up here in this area. There are a couple of flash flood warnings earlier in the morning with the pouring rain. So we'll check in with Bryan Hughes coming up bottom of the hour. He will join us Brad McElhenney coming up second hour. We've got an update at WVMetroNews.com on the latest on the Greenbrier Resort ownership and legal wranglings. We'll get the latest with Brad coming up in the second hour. 304-TALK, 304-800-765-TALK, the phone number. Iran is said to be deeply threatened by the small African breakaway state Somaliland because of potential for the U.S., Israel, and Western powers to use its deep water port and airbase. This according to new media reports this morning. Meanwhile, Iran is warning that no U.S. base is safe because of the defensive strikes, as the American military has described them, in the last several days, putting a strain on the fragile ceasefire there in the Middle East. Meanwhile, President Trump has called a cabinet meeting today as the peace deal seems to still be in the works there in Washington. So, in the Middle East, all of this is playing into new strikes that Iran has been pressuring Houthis to renew their strikes on shipping, particularly in the Red Sea. That waterway has become a main route for oil to ship out of the Middle East to Asia since the Strait of Hormuz has been closed down. So all of this going into the peace talks in the Middle East. And look, I'm not going to sit here and try to be some foreign policy expert, because you all know that I'm not. I am many things. I am not a foreign policy expert. But whatever the deal is, if there is, in fact, a deal, because we've had this go through, a couple of times where there's been talks and we've got a deal and then there's no deal and we're back in this pattern again, but here we are. Whatever the deal is that ends this conflict that was started, and you can agree or disagree for the reasons why, but the Trump administration started this conflict, you have to come out ahead. If Trump returns, if President Trump cuts a deal that returns to the status quo and puts us back at where we were a couple of months ago with regard to Iran, what have you actually accomplished? Now, militarily, you have accomplished a couple of goals here with this situation in the Middle East. Iran's defenses, Iran's military capability, its forward capability has been greatly diminished. Greatly diminished. Its capability to develop nuclear weapons, greatly diminished over the last several weeks of this campaign. But the message from the White House, the message from President Trump through this whole thing has been no nuclear weapon. That's the line in the sand. No nuclear, period. He wants the nuclear dust. So any deal by the president that would include the possibility of Iran developing a nuclear weapon, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 50 years from now, isn't that a loss? Is that a loss? And it's not going to be spun that way if that's the case, whatever deal struck. If that's been the line in the sand this whole time, does that end up being a loss for the president? You've got to come out ahead. You went into this. You started this. You have asked your voters, you've asked all of the American population to take one for the team, if you will, as gas prices are what are they in town now, Jake? $4.49, $4.50, $4.69, something like that around the state here? I mean, you're taking it on the chin for what is supposed to be the opportunity to finally take care of the Iran problem that has been a problem for the last half century. So whatever the deal is that he is trying to work out, I don't know the details of it. You don't know the details of it. We've heard reports, but let's be honest, reports are just that. And that's not a slam against the actual Washington reporters, but we've not seen the actual details of the deal. It's got to be better. You've got to come out ahead. And I know I'm not breaking any new ground here. You know this. But maintaining the status quo, if we come back and we just reset to a diminished Iran, albeit diminished Iran, but we're kind of back to where we were a month, 2 months ago, what have we actually accomplished here? And if you want to look at the political ramifications of that, It's already going to be a tough midterm season for Republicans when we get to November across the country. It was going to be tough anyway. But if this whole entire operation has been for naught or just to maintain the status quo, then, boy, it's going to be even harder. And we'll talk about this in the second hour on a different subject. But if you have to go out and tell the world, tell people that I won, I'm actually winning. Are you actually winning? Now, there is a narrative you got to fight against. Don't get me wrong, and I get that. I understand it. But if you have to go out and tell people that, hey, we actually won here, and here's why. Did you actually win? Maybe you didn't clearly define the objectives, so we know if you did meet the objectives or not. And that's a problem when it comes to the Iran situation. Were the objectives ever clearly defined so we know what success is? Maybe they weren't defined on purpose. That's always possible as well. But that is the latest in Iran. 304-TALK, 304 is the text line. 800-765-TALK, that's the phone number. It's raining all over the state of West Virginia today. What can we expect? When will we dry out? We'll talk to our Metro News meteorologist, Bryan Hughes, going to join us coming up on the other side of the news break. A little bit later on, Brad McElhenney with the latest on the Greenbrier. This is Talkline on Metro News for 40 years, the voice of West Virginia. It's 10:30. Let's get a news update from the Metro News Radio Network. Find out what's happening all across the great state of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Still keep eyes on things out there, roads especially. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Much of the state still have flood watches today and much of tonight yet. We had some heavy rain impact the state last night. Still watching for a potential of severe weather. If you're in the dark green and yellow, that's where a marginal to slight risk of severe weather for isolated to scattered severe storms are possible today. Scattered severe weather generally near and east of the Allegheny spots there. Large hail, damaging winds. Again, there's still some heavy moisture with this front that's still here, so potentially 1 to 2+ inches of rain yet today and tonight. Slight risk of excessive rain is out. We had some flood advisories, flood warnings, and flash flood warnings impact the state early this morning. Remember, turn around, don't drown. If any heavy excessive rain leads to flooding or flash flooding, never drive through that today and tonight. Some improving weather after tonight. Fly Sierra forecast, it starts at home. Chicago, high of 69, cooler temps. They do have some marine hazards from Lake Michigan over there, and also an air quality alert impacting Northeast Illinois, Northwest Indiana today. From Panhandle to Panhandle, high 70s, rain likely, thunderstorms likely, threat of isolated severe and flooding potential. Lows around 60, still that flood watch tonight. Eastern areas, severe storms, flooding and flash flooding potential. Lows near 60, chance of showers and storms. From east to west, watching for locally heavy rain. Again, there will be that potential of flash flooding and some severe weather. Lows around 60s tonight. And down to the south, 81 in Charleston. Rain and storms likely today and tonight. Our flood watch in Charleston's out until 2 a.m. tomorrow, but check locally for timing, flooding, flash flooding, and severe weather is possible. An isolated afternoon storm is slight chance tomorrow, but mostly dry from here. 81 on Thursday, 80 Saturday, and some lower temps in the 70s by early next week.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at salangolaw.com.
On the next State of Minds.
I think if it wasn't for West Virginia, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Ryan has been rising over Seneca Rocks for millions of years. I wanted to capture it in a way that was authentic and maybe different than people have ever seen it before.
We'll get to your comments. Coming up, 304 Talk 304. GOP strategist Jimmy Keady going to join us top of the hour. He was the consultant working with the Randy Smith Caucus, if you will, during the primary election a couple of weeks ago. We'll get his take on the results and what it means moving forward. He'll join us at 11:06 this morning. Just looking at the weather radar, blobs of red and orange and yellow moving across the state of West Virginia this morning. Rain this morning. Rain and thunderstorms expected throughout the day. Up here in north central West Virginia, there is a flood watch. There's a flood watch in the Panhandle, flood watch in Charleston, Huntington areas as well. The man who knows all about meteorology, MetroNews meteorologist Bryan Hughes, joins us on MetroNews Talkline this morning. Bryan, this is all your fault.
Well, listen, I'm at the WRVC studios here in Huntington, 94.1 FM, and they said the same thing when I walked in the door for an affiliate check-in. They said, this is not supposed to be happening.
By the way, shout out Paul Swan and the guys over at 94.1. Love them there in Huntington. So what's going on, man? Why are we getting dumped on today by the rain?
Well, you know what? We had a cold front that moved into the region last week, and the thing is that cold front stalled out. And one of the old meteorologists, Kim Batty at the National Weather Service in Charleston, used to say cold fronts come to West Virginia to die. It just takes them a long time to die once they get hung up in the mountains. And that's exactly what's happened. This cold front got here, and it got up in the mountains, kind of wishy-washy, moved back north as a warm front moved back south of the cold front. As it's done that, you've got this lift in the atmosphere, and showers and thunderstorms develop along that frontal boundary. And this morning, it has sat across north central West Virginia, essentially from about, you could say, the Point Pleasant area all the way across the Glenville area, Spencer, back into sections of Grafton. You've got all the way up there to Elkins, Parsons, Davis. You've got flash flood warnings that are in effect. So right along that boundary, that's where we've had the flash flood warnings, the heaviest rain right now. Elkins, Beverly, Glenmore, as well as Mill Creek. That is where the heaviest rain is at the moment. Another big batch moving right into Buchanan at the moment and just south of Bridgeport. So heaviest rain in the eastern parts of the state going into the eastern panhandle. But there's more on the way this afternoon, and I'm afraid some of those will be strong to severe with some gusty winds, the primary threat.
The wind's a problem. They'll bring down limbs, take down power lines. Other flood watches, flash flood watches. It seems it was kind of traipsing around the yard last night. Ground's already saturated, isn't it, Bryan? There's no place for the water to go?
That's correct. What's happened is you've got that very dry layer of soil that's preventing a lot of this water from soaking up. So you get some essentially the plants, the grass, they're going to soak up some of that water, but they're full right now. It's kind of like if you try and drink a glass of water and you throw another one in, just right back to back to back, you are going to become plumb full. That's what's happened with our plants, grasses. They can't absorb anymore, so now it becomes runoff. So the flash flood watch continues for the rest of the day into this evening and tonight. It'll end about 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning across the state. Then we get to dry out, and it's kind of like we get to make up for Memorial Day weekend where we didn't have the best weather. This coming weekend, temperatures are going to be in the 70s and 80s across the state, dry Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll have a great weekend ahead, but we just had to get through today and tonight. And by the way, those storms today, heavy rainfall, gusty winds. You could have a couple of patches of hail associated with some of the strongest storms. The tornado threat is incredibly low. We can't rule it out because we had some tornadoes across eastern Kentucky last night. But as we go through the day today, just keep your eye to the sky and be careful. And again, we have to emphasize this because of the flooding situation and the flooding possibility. Turn around, don't drown. I can tell you this. Looking out the window here from the studios here in Huntington, you definitely see some of those dark clouds. We've got thunderstorms that are developing all around the tri-state here.
Is this statewide? Any areas in particular you're keeping an eye on today, or is this pretty much from Wheeling to Welch, as Tony likes to say?
Listen, Welch, Wyoming, McDowell counties, back down into the far south of West Virginia, you don't have to deal with the extreme flooding potential. But anywhere along I-64 from Huntington to Charleston, up I-79, up 77, and across portions of, the eastern panhandle, back up there into the northern Greenbrier Valley and across the Tucker County area, Randolph-Tucker counties. We got to watch for that because that heavy rain this morning and stuff that's happening right now, that is going to lead to a better enhanced area for flooding later on this afternoon, this evening. Like I said, far southern West Virginia, there'll still be some rain showers and a rumble of thunder, but it's going to be a much drier situation compared to the further north you go.
By the way, since we're going to make up weather-wise for the Memorial Day weekend, does that mean you have just given us all permission to take another 3-day weekend to make up for last weekend? That's what I got out of that, Bryan.
Listen, I've talked to our CEO, George, and he's in lockstep with that decision, just so you know. Yeah.
Perfect.
And George, just so you know, I forgot to call you and tell you that.
All right. Metro News meteorologist Bryan Hughes. Bryan, tell all my buddies there at WRVC hi, and I'll see them soon down in Huntington.
Paul Swan says you owe him a phone call.
I probably do, actually, as a matter of Big John as well. Hey, Bryan, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.
Bryan Hughes, Metro News meteorologist. So keep the umbrella handy. Watch those creeks and streams as the day goes on, but we will dry out the next several days. All right, coming up, some of your text at 304-TALK-304. That's the text line, 800-765-8255. That is the phone number. Don't forget, you heard Jeff Jenkins during the news update. The high school softball state tournament is underway this morning in South Charleston. Exclusive radio play-by-play coverage streaming at WVMetroNews.com. Class Single A and Double A in action today, tomorrow, and Friday. We'll have it covered for you from the first pitch to the final out. Joe Mercado, Greg Carey will have highlights and recaps throughout the tournament this week and next. This is Talkline from the Encova Insurance Studios.
Picture a community where every space tells a story. Those are the communities we're designing at ZLM Architects and Engineers. With a blend of creativity and technical expertise, we design spaces that inspire, innovate, and ignite change. From cutting-edge educational facilities to community-centric gathering spaces, we're committed to improving lives through design. Let us help you shape a brighter future for generations to come. Because at ZLM, it's more than architecture. It's about building your legacy.
Tens of thousands of hardworking West Virginians earn their living in our state's growing natural gas industry, including thousands for Antero Resources, West Virginia's top natural gas producer. Antero's investments are boosting our local workforce and small businesses. We're proud to give back and invest locally to support West Virginia workers producing West Virginia energy. But the Mountain State's best days are ahead, and Antero Resources is just getting started. Visit AnteroResources.com to learn more.
Right now, America is hungry for energy, more power, more reliability, and more security. So here's a question worth asking. Why not coal? And why not now? West Virginia sits on one of the most abundant energy resources in the world. Generations of miners, proven infrastructure, and coal-fired power plants already delivering dependable, around-the-clock electricity. At a time when demand is surging and reliability matters more than ever, coal isn't a question mark, it's a solution. Today, there's robust support in West Virginia and Washington to strengthen American energy independence using the resources we already have. So again, we ask, why not coal? And why not now? Because when it comes to powering our homes, our hospitals, our economy, and new opportunities, West Virginia Coal is ready. A message from the Friends of Coal, powering America today and tomorrow.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Nasal obstruction, stuffiness, blockage. Is it allergy? Is it sinus? A lot of times it may be both. The Delview Medicine Sinus and Allergy Center is a clinic where we house all specialties that take care of allergies and sinuses together. You name it, we have it. It's one-stop shopping. Anything ENT that needs done for the citizens of West Virginia, we can provide that care.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
Download Metro News Television on your iPhone or Android. Search Metro News Television in your app store. Create an account today to get alerts and watch all live and archived content. Download now.
Touchdown! We're paying
the region's largest restoration firm, responding from 5 locations. When disaster strikes your home or business, call Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. Take your pick from our massive selection. Now up to $5,500 off select new Acadias and 3.9% for 60 months. The great deals continue with our large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
304 Talk. 304 is the text line. 800-765-8255. 800-765-8255. The best Trump gets out of the Iran war is a deal similar to what Obama made with Iran. Trump screwed the economy and the lower economic classes to enrich him and his buddies. Will be in the Iran deal pump and dump cycle for as long as Trump and company keep grifting it, says the texter. If Iran's military has been seriously downgraded and their nuclear capabilities have been obliterated, then A, why are we still bombing them? B, why aren't we rolling into Tehran, cheered as liberators? Why is the Strait of Hormuz still under Iranian control? And why is Israel still playing the victim? The answer is we just kicked the hornet's nest. We didn't remove it. Obama's deal was far better. Don't let politics get in the way of the truth. Trump is a loser who did this for his own interest. He has no more control over Iran's nuclear program than Russia does. Kyiv, insists the texter. We're not rolling into Iran because there is, next to zero support here in the U.S. for boots-on-the-ground operations there. And it was warned by commentators and experts alike that, generally speaking, airstrikes alone are not the solution. Now, has their forward capabilities, have they been seriously depleted? Absolutely they have. Absolutely they have. They're digging missile launchers out of the ground. Once they get them out of the ground, we blow them up. At least that's, again, not a foreign policy expert here, but nonetheless. But to your point, I will give you credit for the point. You can't half do the job. And I said that a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about this, whenever it got started. If you half do the job, you leave the same people in charge. What are you going to actually accomplish in this? And that's the question I was posing moments ago. What are you actually accomplishing here if you've just maintained the status quo? If you've just depleted military capabilities to a degree, I think to a large degree, but to a degree, if that's all you've accomplished, then what was it all for? And again, where's been the clear objective so we know what success is? Is it regime change? That does not seem to be the answer. Is it complete nuclear surrender, if you will? That seems to be the line in the sand, but if you cut a deal that leaves the door open for that, and make no bones about it, Iran does not come to any negotiation with any leverage whatsoever. Every day that blockade remains in place, their economy grows weaker and weaker and weaker. They're going to run out of money. And eventually, when you run out of money and the RGC can't pay their guys, there's a problem in Iran. Now, how long can the U.S. wait them out? I mean, conceivably, as long as the U.S. wanted to wait them out. How long can the U.S. population be patient? That's a whole other story. And I don't think the population has a long patience for this conflict. And we're probably going to see that in November during the general elections, during these midterm elections coming up. 304 Talk 304 is the text line, 800-765-8255, the phone number. Outgoing Delegate Vernon Criss sounds like a sore loser to me, says the texter. Well, he's salty. And quite frankly, I think Vernon Criss would have said the same thing in that report on Channel 13 with Maddie Sperling. I think he would have said the same thing before the election if you've listened to any of his comments regarding the governor prior to the election. That's why it's one of the reasons the governor and his allies went so hard in that particular district. It was personal. But going back to what I spoke with Delegate Worrell about. There is a very tense relationship right at the moment. Let's put it that way. It's complicated. If it was a Facebook status, it would be complicated between the governor and particularly the House, but the legislature in general, particularly the House. And the governor says he wants to work with the legislature to fix what he has identified as a structural deficit with TANF. Not a good first step. If you are in the House of Delegates, we've just come off this very intense primary, very intense, and you have members were targeted, campaigned against, and we talked about the campaign rhetoric that was floating out there during the primary. You come off of that, and then you learn about this possible cuts, what seems like setting the table for possible cuts to the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program, and you learn about that from guys like me, from reporters coming to you asking questions after you get out of a meeting. Not a good tone setter. Not a good tone setter. Not a good way to repair or even have any sort of relationship. So already, post-primary election, off to a bad start. That makes having these types of conversations very difficult. When you throw something out there without a lot of details, now all 100 members of the House and all of the members of the Senate are getting asked questions from reporters, getting asked questions during interviews like the one Delegate Worrell did, and you go, I don't have the details. I don't know. Not to mention, and take this into consideration as well, there was a, $400 million structural budget deficit when we started the legislative session that just kind of disappeared. And there were a lot of legislators who questioned whether that existed or not. So, and that's what Vernon Chris was driving at, I think, in his salty comment about structural deficit. So my point being, not a good start. Not a good start to try to mend some fences, if you will. Mend bridges. Do we mend bridges? We mend fences and build bridges, Jake? Whatever. Not a good start in the post-election cycle. After the post-primary election there. Speaking of the primary election, we're going to talk to Jimmy Keady coming up at the top of the hour. He's a GOP consultant who was working with the West Virginia Republican Senate Caucus in the primary election. We'll get his take on the results, what it all means moving forward. He'll join us coming up 11:06. Brad McElhenney a little bit later on with the latest on As the Greenbrier Turns. This is Talkline from the Cove Insurance Studios. Back to wrap up hour number one in a moment.
Ready to reach the finish line of retirement? At the Stike team at Wealth Enhancement Group, we provide comprehensive guidance for retirement planning in West Virginia. With years of experience, we'll draft a plan tailored for your unique goals. Whether you're just starting or nearing retirement, we make the process as simple as possible, easy, and stress-free. Visit wealthenhancement.com/Stike to set up a complimentary consultation and get started on your plan today. Let's work toward your dream retirement together.
Hey, this is Brad Howe for your local internet provider, CityNet. For years, rural communities in West Virginia waited for reliable, high-speed internet. Now, fiber is most likely at your front door. Public investment helped build the opportunity, and CityNet delivered the service to homes and businesses just like yours. With free equipment, free installation, no contract, and local support you can count on, switching to fiber has never been easier. Fast downloads, smooth streaming, better connections for work, school, and everyday life. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
Kids deserve care that's as specialized as they are. At WVU Medicine Golisano Children's Pediatric Urology, we treat everything from urinary tract issues and kidney problems to bladder and genital conditions with expertise and compassion. Our team uses advanced techniques designed for growing bodies so your child gets the best care possible. Call 855-WVU-CARE to schedule an evaluation or visit WVUkids.com.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
What does it mean to lead in medicine? J.W. Ruby Memorial Hospital is the top hospital in West Virginia, nationally recognized for 3 programs in 18 procedures and conditions. But to us, leadership means being first in care, in lives saved, in lives restored. In medicine, we lead in the ways that truly matter.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
Jackpots are growing in West Virginia. Jackpots are on the rise every week. Powerball hits Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Mega Millions lights up Tuesdays and Fridays. That's 5 chances a week to get in on life-changing jackpots. Play in-store and online. 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. The Powerball jackpot is $154 million. Mega Millions jackpot is $331 million. So go ahead, play today. Texter sends along a link, and just getting word, Martin Gaughan, a former circuit court judge in the northern panhandle of West Virginia, so Ohio, Brooke, Hancock counties, has passed away at the age of 82. He passed away on May 23rd. Just reading his obituary here. Graduated from West Liberty, got his law degree from Duquesne, was appointed to the First Judicial Circuit in 1995 by Governor Caperton, spent 20 years on the bench, presiding over cases in Hancock, Brooke, and Ohio counties. Played a significant role in developing the Community Corrections Act of 2001, implemented West Virginia's first mental health court, adult drug court, and specialized reentry court. He was a Weirton resident and passed away at the age of 82. Martin Gaughan, the former circuit court judge, passing away at the age of 82. So that news breaking this morning. 304-TALK, 304 is the text line, 800-765-TALK. Texter says, thanks, half measures availed us nothing in Iran. I said it at the beginning, not revisionist history. And again, not a military strategist, not a foreign policy expert, but if you were going to go in, you either had to be all in or not. Half measures, not going to get the job done. They've made progress. Militarily successful, yes. But if we end up in the same place we were, or worse off than we were, what have we actually accomplished? Texter sends along an image of the price of oil. Says crude oil futures are down to $78 a barrel. They were $112 on April 6th. Why aren't gas prices going down at all? I have no idea. If I could explain to you all of the factors that go into market prices for gasoline, I'd have a different job. I'd go work the stock. I'd go play the stock market. I'd go putting my money on futures if I could explain all of that to you, why gas prices remain where they are. And look, it's all interconnected. It's global pressures. Just because we don't get the majority of our oil doesn't come through the Strait of Hormuz, it's all connected. That much I do know and understand. It's all connected. And I know it takes a lot to fill up my truck. The government is going to reimburse the extra money we have spent on fuel. Apparently, all I have to do is say it, and it is true. Just speak it into reality. I like the theory. Just speak it into reality. I'll keep the receipts. You keep your receipts. We'll all turn them in at the end of the conflict to get reimbursed for the extra expenses. I have not hit the $100 mark. I'm sure some of you have, especially you guys that drive diesels. I have not hit the $100 mark yet. I did that one time during, I think that was in 22? 22? Was that when gas prices were at their highest? I haven't done that yet. Now, I try to fill up before I get that low on the truck, but, it's a lot. It's a lot at the pump. You know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Coming up, Jimmy Keady going to join us, GOP consultant for the West Virginia Senate Republican Caucus. His take on what happened in the primary election and what it all means moving forward. He will join us 6 minutes from now. Brad McElhinney later on in the second hour. Go grab yourself another coffee and a donut. It's a rainy day. Why not? It's Talkline from the Cove Insurance Studios on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Still keep eyes on things out there, roads especially. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Much of the state still have flood watches today and much of tonight yet. We had some heavy rain impact the state last night. Still watching for a potential of severe weather. If you're in the dark green and yellow, that's where a marginal to slight risk of severe weather for isolated to scattered severe storms are possible today. Scattered severe weather generally near and east of the Allegheny spots there. Large hail, damaging winds. Again, there's still some heavy moisture with this front that's still here, so potentially 1 to 2 plus inches of rain yet today and tonight. Slight risk of excessive rain is out. We had some flood advisories, flood warnings, and flash flood warnings impact the state early this morning. Remember, turn around, don't drown. If any heavy excessive rain leads to flooding or flash flooding, never drive through that today and tonight. Some improving weather after tonight. Fly Sierra forecast, it starts at home. Chicago, high of 69, cooler temps. They do have some marine hazards from Lake Michigan over there, and also an air quality alert impacting Northeast Illinois, Northwest Indiana today. From Panhandle to Panhandle, high 70s, rain likely, thunderstorms likely, threat of isolated severe and flooding potential. Lows around 60, still that flood watch tonight. Eastern areas, severe storms, flooding and flash flooding potential. Lows near 60, chance of showers and storms. From east to west, watching for locally heavy rain. Again, there will be that potential of flash flooding and some severe weather. Lows around 60s tonight. And down to the south, 81 in Charleston. Rain and storms likely today and tonight. Our flood watch in Charleston's out until 2 a.m. tomorrow, but check locally for timing, flooding, flash flooding, and severe weather is possible. An isolated afternoon storm is slight chance tomorrow, but mostly dry from here. 81 on Thursday, 80 Saturday, and some lower temps in the 70s by early next week.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at salangolaw.com.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Second hour of Metro News Talkline. Dave in Morgantown. TJ's got the week off. He is relaxing in an undisclosed location, probably with a tee box, would be my guess. 800-765-TALK is the phone number, 800-765-8255. Text the show at 304-TALK-304. Brad McElhenney will join us coming up bottom of the hour, the latest on the Greenbrier saga, as we have come to call it. More court filings. We'll get the latest from Brad coming up at the bottom of the hour. Your text as well, 304-TALK-304, 800-765-TALK, the phone number. Ethan Collins is our audio producer if you're listening in on one of our great radio affiliates across the state. And Jake Link handles the video stream on the Metro News television app, YouTube Live, and Facebook Live as well. Also, quick reminder, high school softball state tournament is underway. In fact, our first 2 games are in the books. We'll have recaps at WVMetroNews.com, highlights throughout the tournament, of course, your exclusive radio play-by-play coverage at WVMetroNews.com as well. Had a couple of weeks to sit back, digest, and think about the results of the West Virginia primary back on May 12th. Jimmy Keady is the CEO of GOP Political Strategist, and he was the consultant working with the West Virginia Republican Senate Caucus. That is the Randy Smith Caucus, if you will, here in the state of West Virginia in the primary elections. And he joins us on Metro News Talkline this morning. Jimmy, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. How are you doing this morning?
Doing quite well, Jimmy. So a couple of weeks out now from the primary elections. What are your takeaways at what the results were on May 12th?
I think it was a fantastic night for President Smith in the caucus. We defended 10 of our incumbents in wide margins to most of our seats. And President Smith started in, has a better number now than he did before. And we're very happy about it. And I think it's because we ran great conservative campaigns, stuck with conservative talking points, used, really standard campaign practices to get our messages across, and we had great members who really had great wins. I mean, you look at a lot of our caucus members, there were over 10 to 15-point wins in a lot of these districts.
What do you think Republican voters responded to in the campaign?
Look, West Virginia is one of the most conservative states in the country. They want legislators who do what they say they're going to do and be conservative and talk about the issues they care about. And we did that. And our members had great track records. The senators who ran talked about their issues, talked about how they were different on the issues, and how West Virginia is the best place to work, live, and raise a family. And it's a conservative state with a conservative message. And our members articulated that and got out there, worked really hard, and won those races.
So, Jimmy, that's where the disconnect is, that I can't figure out how to make this reconcile, because there's polling data. We hear it. When you talk to people, they'll tell you it's business, jobs, the economy. Then we get to the election cycle, and we hear things about transgender athletes. We hear about school choice issues. Reconcile those things for me. If people tell me one thing, these are the important issues to me, and then we get to the election and the campaigns say, well, these are the things that work. Make them work. Why is that? Where's the disconnect?
Yeah, I don't think there is a disconnect. A lot of our members, chewed gum and walked at the same time. They talked about the economy. They talked about the issues in West Virginia. They also talked about meat and potato conservative issues. West Virginia wants to have a state where we're incredibly conservative economically. Leadership is doing that. West Virginia also wants a state where, socially, it's conservative. And I think, kind of one of the things that we have to really sit back and look at the elections is that our members ran on multiple issues. And ultimately, the conservative social issues are what West Virginia's wants. They voted for it in these races by large margins. And they also know that West Virginia is, from an economic position, thriving. So, I'll push back a little bit and say that we did both of those things in these campaigns.
Talking to Jimmy Keady, GOP consultant with the West Virginia Republican Senate Caucus during the May 12th primary elections. Was this a win, or was this a wash with the results?
Oh, this was an absolute win for us on several different ways. I mean, we protected all of our incumbents. That was our job, to protect all of our incumbents, and we protected them. We walked away on that night understanding that leadership and what it was doing and the results that have been driven are an absolute win for West Virginia, and our candidates saw that.
There was millions of dollars, about $4 million poured in for that side, if you will, the Smith side, from various groups, political action committees, Club for Growth, Americans for Prosperity, just using those as examples, Jimmy. But all that money poured in, and just to maintain the status quo, is that a fair assessment? Why or why not?
I don't think that's a fair assessment. I think that a fight was started, and then we ended that fight. We had members of the caucus go against 10 of our members, and we protected those members. Now the majority has grown on the president's side, and that was the goal. And the fight was started, and we ended it.
Talking to Jimmy Keady, GOP consultant, worked with the West Virginia Republican Senate Caucus during the May 12th primary election. Do you believe there was any sort of a mandate from voters in this election?
I think it's hard to look at some of these results from some of our senators and see that there wasn't. You have districts, and you have incumbent members who won by over 20% in a lot of these districts. And the majority of our incumbents won by large margins. So I think it's hard to look at these elections and see there's just not.
Even with the extremely low turnout in this primary?
Well, it's a primary, and turnout is what turnout is. But when you're winning races by over 20%, I think that's a mandate.
Talking to Jimmy Keady, GOP consultant, worked with the West Virginia Republican Senate Caucus. One of the races that you did not get was in Kanawha County. Tom Takubo did win his race against Chris Pritt, but there was a ton of money put into that race. What should we take away from that race?
Look, our goal was to protect our incumbents. The Senator Takubo, went in and found and recruited members against our incumbents. Our job was to protect the incumbents in the caucus, and that's what we did. It was a hard-fought race. Chris Pritt is a great guy, a better guy, a great candidate. Some of these things don't work out, but ultimately our goal was to protect the members and the conservative coalition, and that's what we did.
In a memo that was sent out, you called it a head fake, putting resources there to tie up Tom Takubo. Why was that a head fake?
Well, I think you had another consultant on here about a couple months ago who claimed he was going to win all of the incumbent races. In caucus politics, it's always important to try to shoehorn resources into different races. And why that consultant and Takuba was focused on that race, we were able to secure the majority and continue to protect our incumbents, and that's what we did.
Did you believe Chris Pritt could win that race?
I think that Chris Pritt ran a very good race. I think that Chris Pritt did as much as he could do, but when there was just as much outside money coming in with the Kubo spending, I think that, it is what it is. That race was ultimately a watershed for us to protect our incumbents and to go against somebody who recruited against our members. My job on the caucus is to protect our members, to protect the president. That's what we did.
Why ignore, or did you ignore, the judicial races?
We were only focused on our members. That's what we were focused on. And ultimately on our side, our focus was to make sure that we continue to provide what was promised from a conservative coalition. And that's what we focused on.
Talking to Jimmy Keady, he's GOP consultant, was consulting with the West Virginia Republican Senate caucus in the May 12th primary election. Winning the primaries is one thing, Jimmy. What about in November? Are you confident all of your members can also win in November?
Yeah, I think we are going to do everything we can for members. I feel confident we will win those races. A national environment's always a key in these things, making sure that we continue to talk about the great job we're doing here in West Virginia, making sure that we're continuing to talk about what we're doing from a conservative perspective and move against those headwinds.
You have put out the memo again, touting the strategy, a winning strategy. Will you take responsibility if Democrats make gains in West Virginia for the first time in more than a decade?
Well, I'm a consultant, so I take credit where I can take credit. But ultimately, I feel very strong about what is happening from a government perspective and from an elected perspective, that we will be okay here in West Virginia, and we'll continue to push back and do what we said we were going to do by promoting conservative policies. So I feel confident. West Virginia is incredibly unique, and the fact that it is an incredibly conservative state with a thriving conservative state. That ultimately has its own mandate when it comes to what we're doing here, and I think that ultimately that will be pushed back on some of the more headwinds that we're going to be facing here in the election.
What do you think the challenges will be in November, or do you foresee challenges in a very dark red state in November?
I think it's always going to be. I mean, people forget that West Virginia some of it is in the DC media market, and ultimately, there is only 2 Democrats in the Senate, right? So ultimately, with DC media market, the challenges coming from that, you always have to be a little bit concerned, but we feel confident we're going to be able to really batten down the hatches and keep talking about what we're talking about and keep delivering to the voters.
What drew you to West Virginia? Why did you want to get involved here?
Oh man, I'm a Virginia consultant by trade. I worked for the Speaker of the House down here, Chief of Staff for members of Congress here in Virginia. Always have loved West Virginia. My family's always loved to go West Virginia. Saw an opportunity to really protect a conservative bastion, one of the only ones left here in the country, and took the opportunity because I believed in the mission and really wanted to continue to push conservative policies.
Jimmy Keady, JLK Political Strategist, GOP consultant, consulted with the West Virginia Republican Senate Caucus during the May primary. Jimmy, appreciate the time, and we'll see what happens as we start working our way toward the general election in November. No rest for consultants, right?
Oh, no, and happy to be on the program, and please, anytime you need anything, reach out. Was happy to be here, and thank you for everything.
Absolutely. We appreciate you coming on and taking a minute with us this morning. Jimmy Keady, JLK Political Strategy, GOP consultant with the West Virginia Republican Senate Caucus. 800-765-TALK is the phone number. You can text us, 304-TALK-304. We'll get to some of your thoughts coming up. Brad McElhenney, Metro News statewide correspondent, bottom of the hour. This is Talkline from the Encove Insurance Studios.
Tens of thousands of hardworking West Virginians earn their living in our state's growing natural gas industry, including thousands for Antero Resources, West Virginia's top natural gas producer. Antero's investments are boosting our local workforce and small businesses. We're proud to give back and invest locally to support West Virginia workers producing West Virginia energy. But the Mountain State's best days are ahead, and Antero Resources is just getting started. Visit AnteroResources.com to learn more.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
Welcome back, class of 2011.
Most likely to be a millionaire, didn't quite make it.
Hey, reunion's not over yet.
Over here, millionaire, smile.
Make room, people.
Who is that?
Congratulations to our very own Millionaire for Life!
Never too late, man.
You could win up to $1 million every year with Millionaire for Life. Play in store or online today. West Virginia Lottery. 18 plus to play. Play responsibly.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at wvhtf.org.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
Sunshine, open roads, and a new Toyota from Dan Cava Toyota World. Lease an all-new Camry for as low as $398 a month. All new Tundras now up to $8,000 off. All new Tacomas now up to $4,500 off, or lease as low as $399 a month. $7,500 off the new BZ or 0% financing for 72 months. We've got a Toyota for you at Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
.304 Talk 304. That is the text line. 800-765 Talk. 800-765-8255. The phone number. Texter says, Dave, a lot of water all over 33 from Weston to Lynn. Can't get to Lynn due to 33 being flooded. Thank you for the update. So there's your update. Some water on Route 33 between Weston and Lynn. Be advised. 304 Talk 304. I'll save that when I'll get to it. Texter says, this consultant guy is possibly more annoying than Greg Thomas. It must be a GOP consultant thing. I guess you can't spell consultants without con, just what the out-of-state GOP does, says the texter. What he means is the West Virginia GOP can be xenophobic and transphobic at the same time, says the texter. A couple of things. And look, we are past the primary election. We're moving on from things. But if you have to go out and make the case that you won, and we were talking about this with the Iranian conflict, if you have to go out and make the case that you won, or you have to come out and state, I'm the captain now, are you really? Did you really win? Because, look, if you've won an election, if you've won a competition, even if it's a sporting competition where the judges score you and you don't have point totals, for instance, if you've won, people know you've won. If you've lost, people know you've lost. And I go back to the analysis we provided on election night. And we all agreed here And the reporters and other analysts and commentators and operatives that I speak to on a regular basis kind of all agreed that what happened on election night was a wash. It was, you maintain status quo. $4 million was spent by super PACs and consulting groups, whatever the case may be, to basically maintain control of the Senate. Now, is that a win? You can spin it as a win, and certainly that caucus is spinning it as a win. But you go through the memo that was composed by Jimmy Keady, and the memo reads very differently than that conversation we just had. I mean, it became clear he was going to stick to the "we protect our incumbents" talking point there. The memo reads very differently, talking about the roadmap to victory, saying that the primary objective was to tie up Takubo's resources on himself rather than allied candidates. Takubo, late in a relatively uncompetitive race, is how they described it in a memo. Our head fake strategy worked successfully. Masterfully is how it was put. That was in the memo. That's why I brought up that race in particular, because in the memo it seemed like, we poured all this money here. It was a head fake. We juked him. We outsmarted him. And maybe that was the strategy, except that Jimmy Keady had tweeted back on April 24th that Chris Pritt, at the time, was campaigning. His campaigning had surpassed Takubo. His spending had kept pace. That a closed Republican primary, very conservative voters are the ones who show up, said Takubo was in a free fall at the time. That doesn't sound like you thought that was a relatively uncompetitive race. My point being, if you have to go out after the fact and make the case that, well, no, we actually won, did you really? Did you actually win? And looking ahead to November, I believe, as I sit here today, there are at least 5 seats that could flip blue in November. And Democrats haven't made gains in West Virginia in over a decade. So, again, any gain is significant. Do I think their majority or a supermajority is in doubt? No, I do not. No, I do not. That is certainly far from the case. But any gains for Democrats is significant, given that West Virginia has trended red. Republican registration continues to grow. Democrat registration continues to decline. But independent registration, unaffiliated voters, that continues to grow as well. And they're irritated. We pointed that out during the primary. Unaffiliated voters who were told, we don't want you to participate by Republicans, are irritated. We saw that in the judiciary. And there are at least 5 seats, I believe at least 5 seats, that could flip. There are more that are probably vulnerable that it will stay Republican. I have said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it 3 times. If I'm Mike Pushkin, chair of the state Democrat, we got to get him on. I keep forgetting to call him. If I'm Mike Pushkin, I feel pretty good going into November. If you can double your numbers, and again, Democrats are at the bottom of the barrel here, 9 in the House, 2 in the Senate. But if you can double your numbers in those 2 chambers, you have had an outstanding midterm. And for the first time, you have some momentum. Do I believe supermajorities are in doubt? No. Majorities in doubt? No. But gains, significant gains. And then if you're the GOP, you got to question, well, how in the world, in one of the Trumpiest states in the union, for lack of a better description, did this happen? Well, you'll have to answer those questions. Again, that's a big if. I could be totally wrong. We could still end up with Joey Garcia being the only Democrat in the state Senate by the time November's over. That could very well happen. I don't think it will. I think there are 5 seats. 5 seats, I would not be surprised if Democrats are able to capture those in the state Senate. And I think there are a couple of more that are vulnerable, but probably stay red. And who knows what happens over on the House side. But I believe there are opportunities there for the Democrats to make some gains. And that's how you start. That's how Republicans started. Remember when Republicans had one member in the state Senate? You start to fill the ballot, you get candidates on, and Democrats kept their primaries closed until 2016. It makes a difference. 304 Talk 304. Texter says, to put fuel in my semi almost every day, it's between $300 and $400, and the tank isn't even empty. Whew. Gas prices go so high is because oil futures are on the stock market, says the texter. I'm glad you all who owner-operators, my oh my, bless your heart. You owner-operators who are driving dump trucks and semis all over the place. Mike Pushkin just texted me. I'm available. All right. Mike, I'll have my people get in contact with your people, which means I'll give you a call later. But anyway, you owner-operators, thinking of you as you got to fill all those tanks up. Boy. Self-defense in Iran, ? Says the texter. If you have, tell you what, I'll save a couple of these texts because we're coming up on the hour. Brad McElhenney going to join us in just a few minutes. As the Greenbrier turns, the saga continues with more legal filings. Brad has the latest update. More of your texts coming up, 304 Talk 304. Keeping an eye on the state softball tournament as well this morning. This is Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. It's 11:30. Let's get a news update from the Metro News Radio Network. Find out what's happening all across the great state of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Still keep eyes on things out there, roads especially. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Much of the state still have flood watches today and much of tonight yet. We had some heavy rain impact the state last night. Still watching for a potential of severe weather. If you're in the dark green and yellow, that's where a marginal slight risk of severe weather for isolated to scattered severe storms are possible today. Scattered severe weather generally near and east of the Allegheny spots there. Large hail, damaging winds. Again, there's still some heavy moisture with this front that's still here, so potentially 1 to 2+ inches of rain yet today and tonight. Slight risk of excessive rain is out. We had some flood advisories, flood warnings, and flash flood warnings impact the state early this morning. Remember, turn around, don't drown. If any heavy excessive rain leads to flooding or flash flooding, never drive through that today and tonight. Some improving weather after tonight. Fly Sierra forecast, it starts at home. Chicago, high of 69, cooler temps. They do have some marine hazards from Lake Michigan over there, and also an air quality alert impacting Northeast Illinois, Northwest Indiana today. From Panhandle to Panhandle, high 70s, rain likely, thunderstorms likely, threat of isolated severe and flooding potential. Lows around 60, still that flood watch tonight. Eastern areas, severe storms, flooding and flash flooding potential. Lows near 60, chance of showers and storms. From east to west, watching for locally heavy rain. Again, there will be that potential of flash flooding and some severe weather. Lows around 60s tonight. And down to the south, 81 in Charleston. Rain and storms likely today and tonight. Our flood watch in Charleston's out until 2 a.m. tomorrow, but check locally for timing, flooding, flash flooding, and severe weather is possible. An isolated afternoon storm is slight chance tomorrow, but mostly dry from here. 81 on Thursday, 80 Saturday, and some lower temps in the 70s by early next week.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at salangolaw.com.
On the next State of Minds.
I think if it wasn't for West Virginia, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Ryan has been rising over Seneca Rocks for millions of years. I wanted to capture it in a way that was authentic and maybe different than people have ever seen it before.
304 Talk 304 800 765 8255. CityNet is West Virginia's local internet provider. High-speed, reliable fiber internet is probably right at your front door. Now is the perfect time to connect. Free installation, free equipment, no contract. Local customer support you can trust. Perfect for running your business, working from home. Fast, reliable internet built for everyday life. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects. 304 Talk 304 the text line at 800-765-8255. That is the phone number. Over at WVMetroNews.com this morning, Brad McElhenney has a story. A federal judge has ordered lawyers for Senator Jim Justice and his family business organization to submit a redacted term sheet by today to better assess the financing that's been characterized as enough to fully satisfy the loans at the center of the conflict over the Greenbrier Resort. Joining us on Metro News Talkline with the latest on As the Greenbrier Turns, Metro News statewide correspondent Brad McElhenney. Brad, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
So we know, okay, here's what we know, or at least what we think we know, Brad. Last Friday, attorneys for the Justice family businesses announced, hey, all good in the neighborhood. We've got financing to satisfy the loans. We don't need to do these lawsuits over here. These are my paraphrased version of events, Brad. Omni Hotels, TRT Holdings, White Sulphur Springs Holdings, the group there, and said, show me the money. And now the judge in the case is saying, at least show me where you're getting the money from. Is that a very Cliff Notes version of what we're talking about here?
Yeah, that's about right. Your whiteboard is correct. So this is U.S. District Judge Frank Volk, who has a weighty situation on his hands. I mean, the parent company of Omni Hotel and Resorts wants to take away the historic Greenbrier Resort from a U.S. Senator, U.S. Senator Jim Justice and his family. And so, I don't think that's an easy position to put the judge in. The ask here by the justice side is, well, let's lay everything aside for 60 days because we think we're going to close essentially on a refinancing deal. They say that they're going to get up to $500 million to pay down the debt that is now in Omni's hands, to pay down the state of West Virginia tax debt, and also to provide some needed longstanding upgrades to the Greenbrier itself. So they want 60 days to let everything rest so that this money can come through to finalize the new loan. You are correct that Omni says, we're not so sure about this. And also you haven't shown us any evidence. Omni has not come running to say, yes, that's a great deal for us. And the judge is in the position of saying, look, it's put up or shut up time. You say you've got competitive secrets that you've got to keep private, both for the Greenbrier, but moreover for the lender. But can we not at least see more information that allows us to make an informed decision about whether this is what you characterized it to be? So the judge gave a pretty short deadline today to submit a redacted term sheet to show whatever you can about the specifics of this potential financing. And then with the rest, the judge said, you're going to have to provide a memorandum, an explanation for why you can't show the judge or, on the other side, Omni, the rest of this financial information, so that everybody in this case should make an informed decision about what's to come. So, I think that's the takeaway. Maybe you, the listener, Toby and Edith, are not necessarily interested in redacted term sheets, but maybe you are interested in whether the Greenbrier can put up or shut up on this.
I think, Brad, folks are. I had a number of people. I was out and about a little bit yesterday afternoon running some errands, and that was among the questions. Who's the lender? Where is this actually going to happen? Well, nobody knows who the lender is. And my other answer to that, Brad, was, well, in the past, some way, somehow, they've been able to figure it out. So until they don't, we'll have to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I think the question in court is this solid money? Is it true? A question I have after about a decade of covering these financial dramas is, who would lend this kind of money? who would do this knowing the track record? And then, not in the court, but in the court of public opinion, you're dealing with a U.S. senator and his family. And a question that I hear from people, the public, Toby and Edith, Mama, is there any incentive beyond just a typical lender for a U.S. senator on the other end? Is there anything that we should be concerned about as members of the public, his constituents, where, somebody is providing a life preserver for Senator Jim Justice and his family business? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know that you're going to find out in this specific court situation who the lender ever is. I do think it's possible on the other side that Senator Justice's financial filings with the U.S. Senate, if he signs for some sort of personal guarantee, you may wind up with some sort of disclosure on the U.S. Senate side. It may not be to the kind of detail that people want. It may be we owe between $0 and $500 million to such and such a company, but there could be some indication eventually outside of this court case, but in Senator Justice's financial filings with the Senate.
MetroNews statewide correspondent Brad McElhinney. Your first question seems to be the same question that TRT Holdings or Omni Hotels is asking Brad, going, wait a minute here. Given the track record, who in the world is lending that kind of money? We've got to see this. Now, of course, makes simple business. I mean, you don't have to be TJ Meadows type business acumen here, Brad, to go, wait a minute, we got to see this. But it seems to be the question that TRT is also asking, and asking the judge to confirm before any of this starts to move forward. TRT thinks this is all a stall tactic, according to their filings.
TRT, the parent company of Omni Hotels and Resorts, they say, as far as they know, this money could evaporate at any moment. So, why would they call a halt to things from their perspective over something that they can't wrap their arms around, that's just squishy when they touch it? So they believe it's a delay tactic. The judge, I think, is, he's caught in the middle. He's trying to call balls and strikes, and he understands that there is a lot on the line here. Omni, which is a nationwide company, has an inside track potentially to possession of the Greenbrier, and they put in for $300 million, nothing to sneeze at, to take over the ownership of this debt. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you're dealing with a historic West Virginia property that still has, tourism value to the state of West Virginia, owned by a U.S. senator and his family. They've put in nearly 2 decades of stewardship of the property. If I were the judge, I wouldn't take that away from them casually. I would think that really weighty. So what the judge said about needing this additional information is that it has to be at a higher level of scrutiny than what the justices and their lawyers have proposed. What they proposed was the judge could take a look, the judge himself could privately take a look at this term sheet without representatives of Omni. And the judge said that is not enough. We're going to have to let Omni take a look at something so they can even argue their position here.
MetroNews statewide correspondent Brad McElhinney. And Brad, this is more of a rhetorical question, but it's something I was thinking about during the commute, which is a great time to do some deep thinking. The Greenbrier is it's an icon, right? It's an icon for the state of West Virginia, if you want to use that term. We take a lot of pride in it as West Virginians. We know there's some upkeep issues. We know there's needs some money to go in for reinvestment to take care of some problems, to make it the jewel we all want it to be and think it is, right? At what point does Senator Justice start to lose in the court of public opinion where West Virginians say, look, we just want the thing to be successful and be the gym that it should be for the state. We don't care if it's owned by Jim Justice, Omni Hotels, or if Dave and Brad and TJ are able to pass the hat and come up with the money. We just want the thing to be what it's supposed to be. I don't know if I have an answer for that, but I get the feeling, and you know how I feel about feelings. Don't care for them, Brad. But just a gut instinct, do people care who owns the hotel, or do they only care that it is the Greenbrier and the Greenbrier lives up to its legacy? I don't know the answer to those questions.
You know, I think even people who are fans of the hotel, who want to see it succeed, the reputation in recent years has been that it does need additional tender loving care. It needs long overdue upgrades, that kind of thing. And the justices in their announcement Friday, if you were traveling, maybe you didn't hear the whole thing, but in their announcement Friday, they alluded to that and said that their $500 million or so that they're going to get through refinancing would allow additional upgrades to the property beyond just settling this debt. So I think that's generally agreed upon. When I read the comments from people, or people send me an email, you know, there's a recurring theme of a certain number of people wish that it would fall into the hands of a professional hotel company with a track record. You know, and I don't know if that's a majority. We certainly haven't done polling on that, but that's a prominent sentiment out there, that people wish that it would have a change of hands. So finally, you know, in terms of public reputation, these kinds of financial dramas have followed Jim Justice for years. And it's not only been the hotel, but the other entities within the Justice companies, particularly the coal operations. The voters seem to have not cared. I mean, he is a two-term governor, now serving in his second year as a U.S. senator. His track record is he gets elected no matter what. And the most recent polling that we did through Rex Repass and the West Virginia MetroNews poll is that Jim Justice remains quite popular. There are rumors that Justice is, you know, considering a run at being governor again. He would be allowed to have served his 2 consecutive terms. He's been sitting it out. The rumor is that he may have sat out for 4 years, but try it again. The law wouldn't close that out. But, you know, this is a drag on his public reputation. It's out there every day. And it's an ongoing issue, and he is up against a bigger financial adversary, Omni and the Rolling family, than he's ever been before. So it would be in his popularity interest, his public relations interest, to clear the decks of this before too long.
MetroNews statewide correspondent Brad McElhenney. You can read his updates on, we've called it As the Greenbrier Turns, over at the website, wvmetronews.com. Brad, always appreciate it. Keep us posted, buddy.
I'll keep you postal.
Yes, you will. 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255, 304-TALK, 304. Coming up this week on Thursday, as a matter of fact, State of Minds with Hoppy Kirchville returns. Hoppy sits down with West Virginia coal miner and award-winning astrophotographer Dave Green. By day, Dave works in mine rescue. By night, he photographs the stars above some of West Virginia's most breathtaking landscapes. The new episode drops Thursday night at 7:30. A State of Minds exclusively on the MetroNews television app. We'll get to your text coming up, 304-TALK, 304. Phone numbers, 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. This is Talkline from the Cove Insurance Studios.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
Right now, America is hungry for energy, more power, more reliability, and more security. So here's a question worth asking. Why not coal? And why not now? West Virginia sits on one of the most abundant energy resources in the world. Generations of miners, proven infrastructure, and coal-fired power plants already delivering dependable, around-the-clock electricity. At a time when demand is surging and reliability matters more than ever, coal isn't a question mark, it's a solution. Today, there's robust support in West Virginia and Washington to strengthen American energy independence using the resources we already have. So again, we ask, why not coal and why not now? Because when it comes to powering our homes, our hospitals, our economy, and new opportunities, West Virginia Coal is ready. A message from the Friends of Coal, powering America today and tomorrow.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
What does it mean to lead in medicine? J.W. Ruby Memorial Hospital is the top hospital in West Virginia, nationally recognized for 3 programs and 18 procedures and conditions. But to us, leadership means being first in care, in lives saved, in lives restored. In medicine, we lead in the ways that truly matter.
Stay ahead of West Virginia weather with Metro News Television. Now bringing you a new way to stay informed across the Mountain State. Get updates daily at 9, noon, and 4. From headlines and precipitation to severe weather threats and highs and lows. See conditions from panhandle to panhandle and check travel with the Fly CRW forecast. Our meteorologists are on your screens and on Talkline, Midday, Hotline, and Sportsline. Keeping you up to date. Metro News Television weather. Accurate, local, and always on.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. Take your pick from our massive selection. Now up to $5,500 off select new Acadias and 3.9% for 60 months. The great deals continue with our large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
Metro News Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Jackpots are on the rise in West Virginia. Jackpots are on the rise each and every week. Powerball hits Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Mega Millions lights up Tuesdays and Fridays. That's 5 chances a week to get in on life-changing jackpots. Play in-store and online. 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. The Powerball jackpot is $154 million. Mega Millions jackpot is $331 million. So go ahead, play today. Text line 304-TALK-304. So, Dave, when is the first pitch at the Granville Regional Baseball Championship? Asks the texter. I'm going to die on that hill. The WVU, I guess it's the Morgantown Regional, technically by the NCAA. But WVU takes on Wake Forest, Binghamton. That is scheduled for a 5 o'clock first pitch on Friday. Wake Forest and Kentucky play at noon on Friday up at Kendrick Family Ballpark. By the way, weather's supposed to be beautiful Thursday and Friday. Perfect weekend for baseball in the Granville Regional. I'm going to die on that hill. That is Granville. The baseball stadium is in Granville. It's my own little pet peeve. I have a lot of them. 304-TALK-304. Senator Justice is already losing in the court of public opinion, at least locally. We have watched the hotel decline for years. Who is the regular West Virginian who gives a care about whether the Greenbrier is successful or not? Well, I think the average West Virginian does, because it is a gem here in the state. It's a crown jewel. And you don't want that resort to be something you talk about how it once was. You don't want to talk about, well, you know, when it was in all of its glory back in the 19-whatevers, 50s, 40s, whatever. You want it to be a crown jewel for the state where you can talk with some pride, where you travel and somebody says, I don't know anything about West Virginia, but I've heard of the Greenbrier. Heck yeah. Yeah, that's down in Lewisburg. Tell them about the bunker, whatever the story may be. Yeah, a lot of us aren't going to go stay there and enjoy the elite amenities, but it's a crown jewel for the state. You want it to carry on the historical legacy. And not to mention, it is an economic driver in that area of the state. Not just directly, but there's indirect benefits. It's an economic driver in that area of the state. So you don't want it to go away. You don't want it to fail or falter. You want it to be the Greenbrier. Now, does that mean you care who owns it? I think we're a bottom line. A lot of us are just bottom line. Is it going to fail or is it going to succeed? Is it going to win or lose? Is it going to be open and be great or not? Do we care who owns it? I mean, it's great. I love that we love when it's locally owned and operated, just like any business. But that's a crown jewel, and you want it to live up to the legacy that it has. I do, at least, and I think many of you do as well. 304 Talk 304 is the text line. We'll wrap things up for a Wednesday. Tell you what's coming up tomorrow. This is Talkline from the Encova Insurance Studios.
Tens of thousands of hardworking West Virginians earn their living in our state's growing natural gas industry, including thousands for Antero Resources, West Virginia's top natural gas producer. Antero's investments are boosting our local workforce and small businesses. We're proud to give back and invest locally to support West Virginia workers producing West Virginia energy. But the Mountain State's best days are ahead, and Antero Resources is just getting started. Visit AnteroResources.com to learn more.
Approach your retirement with confidence. With over 150 years of combined experience, the advisors of the Stike team at Wealth Enhancement Group provide advice and wealth management strategies to individuals, families, small businesses, professional offices, and institutions. With the Stike team, you'll have access to an advising team with extensive resources, a client-first mindset, and a passion for helping transform the lives of those we serve. Visit wealthenhancement.com/Stike today and join the team that's dedicated to your success.
Welcome back, class of 2011.
Most likely to be a millionaire, didn't quite make it.
Hey, reunion's not over yet.
Over here, millionaire, smile.
Make room, people.
Who is that?
Congratulations to our very own Millionaire for Life!
Never too late, man.
You could win up to $1 million every year with Millionaire for Life. Play in store or online today. West Virginia Lottery. 18 plus to play. Play responsibly.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
What does it mean to lead in medicine? J.W. Ruby Memorial Hospital is the top hospital in West Virginia, nationally recognized for 3 programs and 18 procedures and conditions. But to us, leadership means being first in care, in lives saved, in lives restored. In medicine, we lead in the ways that truly matter.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
soon it will feel like boat weather, and you need to be ready. Check out all the great deals on pontoon and fishing boats at Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Check out the entire inventory at LouWendellMarineSales.com. Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun. Texter says, how citizens feel about the Justice family way of doing business. They've always gained on small businesses that worked for them. Wouldn't pay the jobs when the jobs were done. Usually 2 years later, they offered 50 cents on the dollar for outstanding bills to the small business owner. Try interviewing a local trucker who is hired to haul the corn harvest for Justice. Only way to save the Greenbrier is remove the Justice family involvement, says the texter. Yeah, outsourcing the ownership, just like our power generation, coal mines, gas companies, and every other profitable asset we have here in West Virginia, says the texter. Coming up tomorrow, we'll regroup. Hoppy Kercheval will stop by for his weekly visit. Remember, a new episode of State of Minds drops tomorrow night on the Metro News TV app. And per the Bat Phone text line, we just might track down Mike Pushkin. Why not, I say. 800-765-TALK, 304-TALK, 304. Write them down. Join us again tomorrow for Jake Link and Ethan Collins and the vacationing TJ Meadows. Dave Wilson. Talk to you tomorrow at 10:06. This is Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.